That
You're
sounded earlier than I
listening
thought it
to
would.
Food for Thought Radio. Here FFTradio.com. Cluck, moo, oink!
Good evening and welcome to Food for Thought Radio. I'm your host, Gary Glendale. This is the Farmers and Finance segment. I'm here in the studio with producer Paul. How's producer Paul been producing like Billy-O?
Yeah, producer Paul has actually. Producer Paul's been having an absolutely marvellous day of it, and I'm very smug and satisfied in a sort of technically anal kind of way because I've been simplifying lots of things here at FFT today.
Excellent.
And they're all working, so there's far fewer actions required to get shows started. It's just a matter of sort of, coming up with more elegant little sort of switches and things like that. So this is all good because the fewer the steps are, when it goes wrong, the quicker it is to identify it. But it's not gone wrong, so it's great. And happy Bank Holiday Monday to you, Gary.
Indeed. Happy Bank Holiday Monday to you, sir. But
yeah,
that's
great.
I was going to start off with, when you were saying less to do, one thing that doesn't seem to be working very well at the moment is the economy. I read, did you see, I think it was Sky News, did a report recently that said that the cost of living or the cost of food crisis, food is expected to go up by something like 50% in the next 12 months.
Say that to me again. By how much?
I think Sky News said something like 50% in the next 12 months. Food.
Well then, me looking at my garden today and deciding on which corner of the garden is going to become the compost heap seems an appropriate first step, doesn't it? Because I was on with Mark the other day. Actually, he came onto my show because he was arsing about with chickens last Tuesday, so he never got his show out. He sent me a photograph as well and a bit of video of this massive rooster that he's got. It's got some lungs on it. I've got to sort of blend that into his show theme tune. This thing, kicking off on a morning. It's fantastic. So he never got his show in, so he rocked up on my show for about an hour on Thursday. And we ended up talking, as you do, about compost, right? Mm-hmm. And I have been mulling this over because I'm very slow. But I thought, actually, the whole start of gardening and growing your own stuff begins with the quality of the soil. So composting seems to me to be right at the top of the list. And I think it is, So I've thrown away banana skins and all this stuff for years. Now I keep looking, going, there's a better use for this. And Mark was getting me clear. So I need more conversations, but he was getting me and the listeners clear on Thursday. That's exactly how it starts, how to create raised beds and all this, that and the other. And speaking of food, I just want you to know, I hope I don't make everybody hungry, maybe you've all eaten, but about half an hour ago, I just rustled up some nice chicken sausages, fried in butter. And then what I did was I threw in some chopped onions and tomatoes with rice and lemon. It was just, I've never done it before. I just went, what have I got? Oh, that'll go in. It was brill. I'm very happy. I hope I don't nod off during the show. You know what it's like after you've eaten food and it all hits your stomach. Yeah. I drift off. I won't. It's just a tease. But yeah, so food. Yeah, okay. So we're going to have to get our skates on, aren't we? I do have a sense of urgency, actually, Gary, about everything. I don't know about you, but I've really got it. It's very strong with me.
Yeah. Well, I've got a 26-second clip here. If I play this on my desktop, will it play out on the show, do you think?
It might do. If that fails, you can always, if you've got it as an MP3 file, you can always upload it into the studio later on and play it a bit later. Go on, click the play. Let's see what happens.
All right,
and I'll let you know.
I've just sent you the link on Telegram. But yeah, let's. I'll play it. I know that on my recording, people here, it's 26 seconds. Here we go.
UK food prices are on track to be 50% higher by November than they were at the start of the.
Right. Okay. Got you. I'll see if you can play it. I've just literally sent you the link.
Yes, I probably can. Oh, yeah, I can play. Hang on, let me just check my doodads. Let me make sure my technical trousers are all working. Right, here we go.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah. I see. It's on x.com, isn't
That's
it?
right.
Oh, whoops. Just a minute. I've got to make sure my correct buttons are all pressed. So let's go through to that and see what we get. I really am being producer Paul tonight, aren't I? Look at this. It's outrageous. Here we go. So I think we should... yeah, she's there, but she's just quiet at the moment. Let me just turn the volume up.
At the start
then we'll
of
just
the cost of living crisis.
Okay, come here, you little bugger. That's the thing with X videos. They start all quiet, you know.
Are on track to be 50% higher by November than they were at the start of the cost of living crisis 5 years ago. That's according to some new research by the Energy and Climate Intelligence Unit. Half of UK households are already struggling to pay for everyday essentials, and a lot of people are being forced to choose between things like food and keeping a roof over their head. UK...
There we go.
So there we go.
So by November this year, she said that the cost of living, so the food prices are now going to be 50% higher than they were 5 years ago. So in other words, what she's saying is the cost of living for food prices have been going up like 10% a year for the last 5 years.
Yep.
Basically, is what she's saying there.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, it's nuts.
This is just the beginning of it. I would say that the cost of living crisis really only sort of smacked everybody in the mouth since I keep forgetting COVID was 6 years ago now. You know, that kicked all that shit off and supply chains and all that, and now we've got the Strait of Hormuz being closed. It's all bullshit, mate. Although I know I don't have to tell you that.
I know, and they're being suitably Orwellian, aren't they, with their language? The cost of living crisis, my arse. It's a parasitical banker crisis. That's what it is. It's parasite banks. It's nothing to do with how else.
Well, exactly. Yeah, I mean, all they're doing is inflating the currency in order to basically crash its value to zero, so that all the businesses go bust and all the resources of the world end up in their hands. As has as has been predicted. But last week did I go over the relationship between like the bank and the treasury? So we got treasury bills and bonds and currency. Because I explained.
No, but I don't think you did. But even if you did, I sense that you really want to go over it right now. So I think you should.
Well, I did a talk this weekend in Liverpool, and I showed them a clip from the chair of the economic advisors for Joe Biden, and one of the questions that was asked to him: why is the government in debt when it can print its own money? And the guy was just like, well, the government definitely prints money, and it definitely borrows money, and then it uses that money, and it was just like, and literally he couldn't answer it. Like he goes, well,
no, I've seen it. I know the clip you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking. He's just bumbling around. Oh well, he's saying stuff like, well, the US dollar will never go bust because we can just print our own money. It's like he's so stupid, or I don't know. Does he realise what he's saying? It doesn't seem to me that he understands the sentences that are coming out of his mouth. I mean, it's actually very, very scary that the people that are in charge now might not be willfully evil. They might be something much, much worse. Literally plain stupid. Stupid is worse. It really is. Evil tends to have some sort of intelligence behind it, but it seems to have sort of gone down so many chains of command that the minions at the front end now, the heads of the Federal Reserve, are complete retards. And just come out with sentences like this. They don't even have an internal editor, do they? To those of us that have got ears to hear and eyes to see, you're looking at this oaf, and he couldn't even string two sentences together, could he? He was a complete chump.
Well, he just clearly never thought about the question. So he'd be like, how on earth can you be in that position, head chair of the board of economic advisors, and you don't know why the government is in debt when it can print its own money? You know, and again, this is what I had to explain to the people that I was talking to. Obviously, it starts off with this lot, but they want to keep themselves out of the limelight. So they make up these bits of paper that they print from nothing that they'd call treasury bills. And they're just like, well, we print treasury bills, but treasury bills aren't used in the economy. So they're special. They're special bills that we create from nothing, and we lend those to the government. And the government says, all right, well, we can't make or print treasury bills because they're only printed from the Treasury Department. But what we can make are bonds. And bonds are still not used in the economy. But if we can sell those bonds and we can persuade people to buy them because we tell them that we'll pay them back at interest, then we get currency which is given to us by the public, which they also get from the bank. But we can then spend that currency that we borrowed from the public in the economy on public goods and services. And then we'll tell the bondholders that we will pay them their currency back through the collection of taxes. But then you've got the bondholders and the taxpayers that are all members of the public. And therefore, the bondholders don't mind the government raising taxes because they think that the way they get their bonds repaid is by increasing taxes. So they're playing the public off against each other, even though the bank, prints the Treasury say that they print Treasury bills, but really it's still the bank that prints the Treasury bills to give it to the Treasury Department that they then say that they lend to the government. And then the bank prints currency that they give to the public. So the public are paying off the government, paying off the Treasury bills. The government also borrowed from the bank in the first place. So it's still the bank printing the Treasury bills and the currency. But the reason they don't get the fingers pointed at them is because the Treasury Department say, well, we can't actually print these Treasury notes. It's the bank that prints the Treasury notes. But the bank says, well, we can't just simply print these Treasury notes. We actually get the instructions from the Treasury Department themselves. So it's always like, oh, don't look at us, look over there. No, don't look over there, look at them. No, don't look at them, look at these people. It's all just absolute bullshit. But the thing is, though, they have because it's been going on for such a long time, and this scam, everybody who is in on it is sitting pretty. Everybody who's in on it, because that's the whole point of joining them over us. You're either with us or you're against us, as they would say. And if you're with us, you'll get everything that your heart desires. You'll be able to get away with all your deepest, darkest fantasies, and nobody's going to bat an eyelid. And just to give you an added incentive, if you don't go along and fulfill all of your desires and dreams that we are going to enable you to fulfill, we will shoot you. So what would you like? Would you like to fulfill all of your dreams and have all the riches of avarice, be richer than or beyond the dreams of avarice? Or would you like to be dead and have your family, wiped out and your bloodline gone? The choice is yours. This is literally what they're doing. So like, well, what, before Bitcoin came along, what choice was there? And we can't be in their club. And to be honest with you, I think even if you are in their club, as Rockefeller said in his secret covenant, those minions, must never know, for they will never be of us. They will betray their own fellow man. And when the time comes, we'll get rid of them as well. That's what he says. Of course. So
it's absolutely the case. Yeah, Yuri Bezmenov. You ever seen that clip? He was the defector. He was interviewed by Ed Griffin, the author of The Creature from Jekyll Island in the early 90s. Right. It's a classic, really. Bezmenov was a Russian. He's dead now, unfortunately, but he left communist Russia, and he did this fantastic 1-hour interview, which has been broken down into all sorts of clips, and he's talking about the demoralization of the West, and he talks exactly about that. And this is a long-term plan. He said, it's like 30 or 40 years. By the way, it's not Russian, by the way, everybody. Russian's just a code word for something else, okay? But he's brilliant. And he's basically pointing that out. He said, basically, you've got these Muppets. But that's not the word that he used, but that's it's a good enough word. You know what we mean. And we've got these Muppets in the West, all these liberal types who go, yeah, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And they're all for all this equality crap, which doesn't exist. It's a condition never ever yet witnessed in the whole of known creation. Never will be, by the way. It can't exist. And they pursue all this nonsense. And he points out exactly what you were just saying. He said, once push comes to shove, as the situation matures, these people will be the first ones up against the wall. Why? Because they already know half the truth. They're dangerous to the people that know all the truth. So they're in a really bad place. They just think they're in a really great place right now. Anyway, we're all going to be in a bad place if this carries on. But, I mean, just going back as well to what you were saying, this relationship is kind of a good cop, bad cop thing between, the Treasury and the central bank and the government. And they all play off against one another.
yeah.
There is a ruling class behind the whole lot, but it's just part of the theatre. Oh, here's the bad guy. It's the Treasury. No, it's not us. It's the government. No, it's not. It's the central bank. No, it's the Treasury. It just goes round in circles, and everybody's going. And then there's 6 months between every meeting and communication, so people forget.
Yeah.
It's been going on like this for decades.
Well, I think it might be worth reading here just some of the points, and we can like discuss them.
Yeah, sure.
So
Yeah,
I'm
kick off.
going to sort of like start at point number 24, but I mean the points are phenomenal. The reason this is so important is because you need to read them in order to read between the lines. So they're telling you what they're going to do, so forewarned is forearmed kind of thing, you know. So they've said here, we will guide them kindly and gently, letting them think they are guiding themselves. Yeah, that's the first one. We will foment animosity amongst them through our fractions, as we're seeing right now, all these minorities, trying to get precedence over one another. Black lives matter, Palestinian lives matter, everything but straight white males,
Yes.
all the transgender and all this.
Gary, you're beginning to sound a bit like a racist there. Welcome to the club.
Well, this explains racial divide here. So again, they said number 25. When a light shall shine amongst them, we will extinguish it by ridicule or death, whichever suits us best. So this is why I wear a mask whenever I'm presenting, obviously, because you've still got to do your bit, but just try not to put your head above the parapet too much, because ridicule or death, whichever suits them best. Like, all right, okay, well, I've got to do something. Next, we will make them rip each other's hearts apart and kill their own children. Oof, it's vicious. It's vicious, and rip at their own hearts apart is literally where they're trying to divide and conquer, and again, pitching families against each other, just like they did with the old jibby jabby and all that. Next, they say we will accomplish this by using hate as our ally, anger as our friends. The hate will blind them totally, and never will they see that from their conflict we emerge as their rulers. Oof. Next one, they will be busy killing each other. They will bathe in their own blood and kill their neighbours for as long as we see fit. We will benefit greatly from this, for they will not see us, for they cannot see us, or so he reckons. We will continue to prosper from their wars and from their deaths. We shall repeat this over and over until our ultimate goal is accomplished. So when they say prosper from their wars and from their deaths, one, they're going to say they're going to make money from weapon sales, manufacturing sales, obviously. And then when they destroy the economies, they're going to go in and buy all the economically destroyed and distressed companies and resources. And then when he says, we shall repeat this over and over until our ultimate goal is accomplished, continue to prosper from the wars and from their debts, he's talking about the C.I.A. trust there. When you die and you never claimed your C.I.A. trust, well, guess who claims it? Well, they then keep it for themselves, even though they made it to start with. But the reason they made it is because initially they made it with good intentions. Then through deception, they were just like, well, we won't tell them what it is. And the reason they do that is because they won't go up against what they refer to as the prime creator. So initially they're just like, well, they made this birth certificate. We never forced them to do it. The fact that they didn't ask what was going to be created after they did it is not our problem. But the fact is, that is going to be given the value of the estimated tax revenue of their entire lifetimes. So we can then realize that immediately. Then we can use those funds that we print anyway to invest in other tech companies that will help us, achieve our goal, which is to, eradicate and depopulate the planet, as it were. Like, oof, it's vicious. 30, we will continue to make them live in fear and anger through images and sounds. We will use the tools we have to accomplish this. The tools will be provided by their labor. So in other words, they're going to set people off against each other when they're meant to be working with one another. Pretty vicious.
Yes. Yep.
We will make them hate themselves and their neighbours. We will always hide the divine truth from them, that we are all one. So going back to about racism that you mentioned there, this they must never know. They must never know that a man's colour is an illusion. They must always think that they are not equal. And then he continues here. These next four are really quite hard hitting. He says, drop by drop, we will advance our goal. We will take over their land, resources and wealth to exercise total control over them. We will deceive them into accepting laws that will steal the little freedoms they will have. We will establish a money system that will imprison them forever, keeping them and their children in debt. When they shall band together, we shall accuse them of crimes and present a different story to the world, for we shall own all the media. We will use our media to control the flow of information and their sentiment in our favour. When they shall rise up against us, we shall crush them like insects, for they are less than that. They will be helpless to do anything, for they will have no weapons, because they've taken them off us. We will recruit some of them to help us carry out our plans. These are the douchebags I was telling you about. We will promise them eternal life, but eternal life they will never have, for they are no of us. The recruits will be called initiates, and they will be indoctrinated to believe false rites of passage to higher realms. Members of these groups will think they are one with us, never knowing the truth. They must never learn this truth, for they will turn against us. Oof. So, all those douchebags, Jacinda Ardern, David Lammy, I would even say Keir Starmer, all thinking that they're part of them and all that crap. No, they're not.
No.
Next, he says, for their work, they will be rewarded with earthly things and great titles, like Prime Minister. But never will they become immortal and join us. Never will they receive the light and travel to the stars. They will never reach the higher realms, for the killing of their own kind will present passage to that realm of enlightenment. This they will never know. The truth will be hidden in their faces so closely they will be unable to focus upon it until it's too late. Oh yes, so grand will the illusion of freedom be that they will never know they are our slaves. When all is in place, the reality we have created for them will be their prison. They will live in self-delusion. Who do we know who's doing that already? Loads of people, all the sheep, all thinking, everything's fine. When our goal is accomplished, a new era of dominion will begin. Their minds will be bound by their beliefs that we have established from time immemorial. But if they ever find out they are our equals, we shall perish then. This they must never know. If they ever find out that together they can vanquish us, they will take action. They must never ever find out what we have done, for if they do, we shall have no place to run. For it will be easy to see who we are once the veil has fallen. Our actions shall have revealed who we are, and they will hunt us down, and no person shall give us shelter. And the last one, this is the secret covenant by which we shall live the rest of our present lives and future lives. For this reality shall transcend many generations and lifespans. The covenant is sealed by blood, our blood. We are the ones who from heaven to earth came. The covenant must never ever be known to exist. It must never ever be written or spoken of, for if it is, the consciousness will spawn. It will release the fury of the Prime Creator upon us, and we shall be cast into the depth from whence we came, and remain there until the end of infinity itself. Oof.
Oh, that's lovely. And you say you got all that off the back of a cornflakes packet.
That's right, mate. Very resourceful is me. Yeah, get all these.
Oh, that's good. Is there an author attributed to that? Where did you start? I think I've heard that before, but where did you come across that?
So it's called Rockefeller's Secret Covenant.
Oh, right, nice.
So there's no date on it, but it's believed, and like if you look at his timeline, it was probably written in either the late 1800s or early 1900s. He might have written it after they took his Standard Oil company off him. When he was.
Well, it parallels, doesn't it? It parallels in theme and in much of the detailed content the Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion. A very similar sort of document, extremely hostile to the people that are excluded from it, i.e., the mass of humanity, according to them. But I also thought there's a bit of manglement in it as well. The bit about the people all being one, I vehemently disagree with. I don't think we are. The reason I vehemently disagree, I mean strongly, right? I strongly disagree with it, is that I don't see it. I've never ever seen it. And I think it's one of those sort of meaningless statements.
Though, aren't we?
Well, no, there's no such thing as the human race.
Well,
I'm not in it. Neither are you. No one's in it.
Well,
a race means a subset. There's males and females. I mean, it's a biggie, right? Like, there's no such thing as a dog. This is a bizarre thing to say, but there isn't. There's Alsatians, there are poodles, there are Labradors, there are all these breeds. Those are the different races of dogs. We call them breeds, right?
Though as well?
Well, that's us mangling it around and cocking it up and proving the rule. It's the exception that proves the rule. Naturally, I suppose most dogs wouldn't even survive now without human beings. They're a product of our sort of interference or excessive care, whatever you want to say. They wouldn't be able to survive in the wild.
You can tell the difference between a horse, a bear, a cat, a monkey, and a dog, though.
Of course you can. Absolutely. They're different types, aren't they? I'm just picking dogs as an example, but I think it also applies to people. So there are different... If we've got the word race, it exists to actually provide that description of differentiation. Otherwise, the word wouldn't exist. It wouldn't even exist. You wouldn't say, oh, these people are different from me, because you would know that they weren't. I don't say that about fellow Yorkshiremen. They're different internally in terms of what they think, or Englishmen, or whatever. Yeah, this is true. But in terms of fundamental operating system, we are alike. Not exactly the same, but we are similar. We operate in a particular way. So therefore, the races are not equal. That's not me claiming that we're more equal than others. They're just not. Otherwise, they wouldn't exist. And they do exist. Eskimos are not the equal of Red Indians. Red Indians are not the equal of Chinamen. Chinamen are not the equal of Englishmen. Englishmen are not the equal of, well, I find it hard here, of Australia. It's just, you go on and on and on with it. The differentiation naturally exists, and it's nature's true expression of natural diversity in creation. And it's important.
But we must have some similarities as people. We're not animals.
Well, yeah, we've got 2 arms and 2 legs and a head, but I would suggest that whatever it is that you think we've got similar is dwarfed by the things that differentiate us. And if you say that, if someone is to say, well, we're not different, what you're doing is you're dismissing all the natural proclivities and whoop and woof of life of different people. You're saying, well, Chinamen are exactly the same as Red Indians. I'm sure Chinamen and Red Indians would resent that bitterly, and rightly so, because they're not.
Oh, yeah, but what I'm saying is, God says... he made man in his image, and we were all granted dominion.
Yeah, but which man?
I think that's what they're trying to get away from.
Well, they want what they. I think that what's embedded, that little bit that they've embedded there, is actually part of the deception. You see, whenever you start talking about race, of course, it's an extremely toxic topic, which is why I'm particularly attracted to it. The ones that
we all use money, though, don't we? Everybody who's considered human is in some form of economy, some form of trading economy. Animals don't trade.
A commercial arrangement. Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
So
although there are those tribes, you've seen those tribes in South America that they still keep discovering. They're unbelievable, those people. Well, they're human.
Yeah, but they still
they're human.
Trade. Like they have it's not the women that come out with bows and arrows attacking, helicopters that
actually it is. And all that. It actually was in this video clip that I saw, but I know what you mean. I'm not trying to pick holes in what you're saying. No, I just think, this is just me. I'm always open to being proven wrong, except on this.
but what I'm saying is, we have social structures, and everybody has their role to play. We create irrigation systems. Some people are good at builders. Some people are good at making weapons. Some people are good at cooking. Some people are just good at art, different interests and all this kind of stuff. But we all trade. But what they're trying to do is they're trying to emphasize our differences and use those against us in a negative way. Whereas what he's saying,
I think they play it both ways. I think they definitely do that. I think also the push towards we're all one big humanity and let's all come together is also them, because that's not true. We're not. And I know that we're not, because I look at it and I see it, that we're different. This is not a judgment, it's an observation. It's absolutely there, right? Whales are not the same as sharks. You just look at nature. You go back to Muhammad Ali's speech about birds. It's absolutely true. They're all birds, he said. But the vultures are up in the mountains, or the eagles are in the mountains, the vultures are looking for carrion, the sparrows are in the hedgerows. They don't hang out with one another. There's a bloody good reason. They're different. And nature knows. So if you look at the way animals actually behave, that's actually natural. It's based on a preservation of your like. And I think also the other thing is, this is not that we can't get on. I'm not saying that. It's not that in part we can't get on, but you're going to have extreme types in all sorts of tribal groups, aren't you? You're going to have people that are easy to get on with in that group, same with our group, and you're going to have people who are very, very difficult. And I think nature has basically set it up in such a way that it's not an accident that you were born an Englishman. I don't believe in that, you see. Oh, I could have been born an Eskimo. No, you couldn't, because you weren't. It's kind of an irrelevant observation to me. You have to look at what you actually are. And so I think it's key because, you know, if you go back to Coudenhove Kalergi and his practical idealism from 1926, he's talking about blandifying all of the races. Like racial admixture is what they're all about. Then we'll have one humanity, yet it'll be dead. It'll be spiritually inert because for the duration, I think, of your existence here, you are, whether you like it or not, it's just, this is the hand you got dealt. And I'm quite pleased with the one I got dealt, to be quite honest. Not that it's always easy, but what am I to be? Ungrateful for it? It's ridiculous. Apart from which, we've got odd observations. We think, well, these people are really struggling over there. I'm glad I'm not one of those natives in that forest in South America. But they may be having the most weirdest, exhilarating sort of experiences that you and I are never going to access in this lifetime because we're not them. So I think it's I just think it's part of their plan. This has all come about, of course, over the last few hundred years with the arrival of international transportation systems have made this possible. Prior to that, people did not racially admix naturally. They never, ever have. It's always been forced upon them by the ruling elite, which is cosmopolitan and globalist in orientation and has been for millennia, because that's how it thrives. And that's how you create more division. So apart from which, the alternative is much more peaceful route. I think the arguments they tend to throw up are, oh, look at you Europeans, you're having loads of wars. That's why we've all got to come together and stop it. What they don't point out is that they were the authors of all those wars on purpose. Yeah. That they create them. You see, you and the Germans never get on. This is complete horseshit. If you actually spend time with Germans as normal Englishmen, prior to or not being in warfare states, you get on. There'll be differences, you know. You can moan about it. They haven't got a sense of humour. They're always putting their towels on. It doesn't matter. It's such trite, small stuff. Fundamentally, we've got the similar operating system. And that's my take on it, really. I think it's like the races are really important. And I happen to be in this one for this lifetime. Maybe I'll come back as a Chinaman if that's how it works. I don't know. People struggle like mad, don't they, with all these sorts of things. It's like this. No, it's not. It's like that. And it does feel like we are rough stones being polished by the experiences of life. But I think people and races, like on a frequency level, they operate in a different vibrational and frequential space. They're just different. And it's like the early days of computers with different operating systems. If you got a Mac and tried to put it together with a Windows thing before they started all this sort of cross-pollination of things in the early 80s, you got mayhem. It just doesn't work because they're structured different. And that's what we're like. Now, given that they want globalism, and given that they want digital IDs, and given that they want to micro-control everyone on the planet, they don't want groups that have got a sense of their own differentiation from other groups. Because that might breed a bad habit. And yet it's really colourful. I mean, the carrots don't grow next to the daffodils, do they? Just look at nature. It's just, you go, oh yeah, they're all over there. Those budgies, they're all swarming together. Why? There aren't any hawks in there or pigeons. No, why? Because it just don't work. So, I mean, I don't think it's even contentious. I just think that these are the sort of ideas that are never communicated much in public space. And so the real power is not even the facts. It's there's a thing from Plato, I said it the other day, those who tell the stories rule society. Our job, it seems to me, and those that are of a similar wavelength, is to tell this story, our story, about our people, more fully and more repeatedly and with greater energy and more conviction and more attractiveness than the kind of crap and swill that's getting poured into their heads 24/7 by the global digital shit bin. Do you know what I mean? It's nuts. And they're telling all the stories. They've got control of Hollywood. These things are massively powerful. People pick things up on a vibe. Like we were saying last week about, you know, you've got an ability to look at technical things with regard to blockchain. Great. someone's got to occupy that position. There's generally a small subset of us, but they've got to exist. Physicists have got to exist. Particle physics guys, they've got to exist. They do. But the great mass of people have got to be able to comprehend and understand that. And one of the best ways of getting this stuff across is through stories. In fact, it's the best. We're kind of hardwired. We pick up stuff in stories. So, it's just an observation. I don't want to make a bigger point of it than I really have. But I think there's a real brilliance in the differentiation. And the reason why I think it's different is that when you racially when you put two or more different tribes of people on the same bit of real estate, it goes to dog shit. Without a really heavy enforcing government who probably organised it in the first place, which is certainly the case in England. It's complete nonsense, the whole thing. So if a racist is somebody that notices that race is, which is me being a clever dick, right, then I'm one of those. But I'm not. I simply say to people, I am a race is individual because I look out there and I see that there are different people from different races. It's an observation. They say, oh, this means you hate all those people or whatever. You get all this sort of criticism thrown your way. You go, no, I haven't got the time or energy for that. Don't know what you're talking about.
My point is, what they're saying is that there are more of us, whatever you define us as, than them.
Yeah.
And if we turn on them, so therefore we need to find a mechanism for us all to come together to fight these evil satanic fucks.
Maybe, Gary. Maybe we need to do that, but maybe we also look at that Margaret Mead thing. The Margaret Mead's observation, and she wasn't always batting straight as far as I'm concerned, but when she said only a small group of people can actually change things. In fact, when you look at history, it's only ever been that, and it has. It's like a pivot point.
Well, she said never underestimate the power of a few group of people to change the world, but the few group of people that changed the world, they changed the world because everybody followed them. They were the ones that
have influence. Yes,
they set the path.
Yeah,
and everybody followed.
Absolutely.
It. Well, so that's what we need to do. We need to defy, because at the moment the cabal and the bad guys, they are in lockstep, and it doesn't matter where or who they are around the world. They absolutely know. They've been taught how to invert, subvert, and pervert everything that goes against human nature. Literally everything.
Yes, they do. Yeah, they do. So they have a story that they've been telling themselves. You were just reading parts of it from that article, right? That's part of the ingredients of their story that they've been inducted into. And we are not, if we are denied, for example, access to our history, as a tribe of people, as the English or as the Scots or the Welsh, the Northern Irish, the Irish, all this kind of stuff. If you're denied that, if it's diminished, if you are mocked for looking at it, you lose connection to these inherent things that I think are running around inside your DNA. These are our instincts. Our common sense is possibly slightly different to the common sense of an African tribesman. It's just different. Because of circumstances, because of the challenges that we face, we operate in a different way.
But we need to come together somehow, is what I'm saying.
Well, I think I don't know quite how that would look. I'm not against it. I mean, it's
economic incentive. At the end of the day, every human or every individual, every living man and woman, they will know what's better for them. They will choose comfort over discomfort because it's the most obvious choice. And in an economy, in a trading society of which we are, people will choose a positive economy over an economically toxic one, because an economically toxic one is what creates hardship. So therefore, if people they will move across to an economically positive economy. And an economically positive economy is not only one that functions efficiently, it's also one that upholds the laws so that people can function and effectively play the game on a level playing field together. Because even if you are winning the game and you're extremely successful and wealthy, as you would be determined, and you're financially free and you can do whatever you want, your wealth and the assets that you own will not be yours for very long if we are not living in a law-abiding society. You will be killed, or you'll be taken out, or your assets will just simply be robbed. And therefore, trust diminishes. And when trust diminishes, people are less likely to trade with each other and form bonds. And then say, well, actually, look, we want this game to operate in this way because it benefits the both of us. because I benefit from the trade of the goods and services over there, and they benefit from the value for money over here. So everyone's a winner. And this is what they're trying to destroy by saying, well, actually, if we control the money, if we control the financial system, and we can print this shit from nothing, then we benefit and everyone else suffers. That's the crux of it.
I mean, I guess you're absolutely... I mean, they have a worldview. And no amount of communicating by you and me and similar types to them, were we ever invited to a breakfast meeting, would make any difference to them whatsoever. None. They've got so much evidence to suggest that what they're doing has strengthened their hand, which it has, that us saying, don't do that anymore, is literally desperately pathetic. It's like saying to your jailer, will you just let me out? They just burst out laughing. Because in the communication, the plea, you're actually revealing yourself as prone. I mean, it's a matter of, I don't think there's any one simple answer because it is complex, or there are so many different aspects to it. But
there is a simple answer.
It's our kith and kin. I operate a bit like this. Out of the English, because that's what I am, right? So out of the English, there's a subset, 5-10%, which is a considerable numerical number, who've probably got their heads screwed on right and know. Now, if that subset can be effectively coordinated in such a way so that they know that everybody else in that subset is beginning to operate on a similar wavelength, that we're beginning to harmonize, or whatever soft or brutal language we want to use to describe it, then we've got a chance. Because when I use the word we, that's who I'm referring to. I can't refer to all Englishmen and women because I meet many of them and it would take me the energy of a human atom bomb to get through to them. Right? I don't wish anybody any harm, but we've got to sort of pick and choose how we use our time as best we can whilst we've still got some, I suppose. Well, that's the way I tend to view it.
I would say that the complete package is, first of all, you need to know the law, but the law is useless if you just simply know it and can't enforce it or do anything about it. Like, you can't say to a criminal, you can't do that, that's against the law, when you're on your own, because they will just simply look at you and go, who's going to stop me? You, I don't think so. Yep. So it's kind of like with the law, you need to know the law, the rules of the game, but then you need the political will and the economic power to back it up and enforce those rules. Mm-hmm. And I think that's it. I think that's the complete package: lawful, political, and economic.
I think it's on the pragmatic realm of physical living and operating with decency and good manners around one another. I think you're right. But I think there's something else. I think the additional thing that's missing, and this is going to sound a bit wet, or the thing that has to be taken into account, is that people must develop a conviction. They must begin to put aside, I think, some time to consider the nature of their own existence, which is awfully deeply philosophical. But what's that? Who said this thing? The unexamined life is not worth living. And unfortunately, huge amounts of people don't examine their own lives at the moment. It's not surprising when you consider the kind of indoctrination that they went through in so-called education and schooling systems. Our schools, if you say, how are we going to change this around? Like we were saying, you maybe in that sentence, you've got Keir Starmer and these other people. They are a product of their cultural Marxist university education. How do we stop that? This is what's breeding a kind of huge mass of administrators in our society who are basically not compos mentis because they've not examined the results of the actions that they're taking. They've just bought into a story. Everybody's equal. It's all going to be great. You hear it all the time. Can't we just all get on? Yeah, we can if you actually follow the true principles of natural life. And I don't think we're following them. I think some people are, but it's certainly not enough to actually make that difference. You need it. You'd never get everybody in it. I mean, when I'm asked about what it is that I'm after, it's happy families. But that word happy includes everything. Every single thing. Money, spiritual development, relationships, how you raise your children. That's what makes happiness. There's a lot to it. There's tons to it. There's every single area is a challenge as well, I think. We've got a tool here, though. Actually, I'll give you an example. Last night I was out. Having a beer, no alcohol in it. I was drinking 0% Guinness, which is desperately pathetic, isn't it? But I just don't like drinking these days because I pay for it like mad. And I was out with a couple of guys and we were talking. I had my phone on me. I had my hand cash app on the phone, and I was talking to them briefly about BSV. It's quite interesting because all they were really interested in was, paraphrasing, so should I get some of this because I'm going to make a load of money?
Yeah.
And I said, probably. I said, and it's not that I'm surprised by that. I'm just sharing it with you. I'm just, I do these things whenever I say, hey, have a look at this, right? Oh, you're saying, we should get some of that because it's going to go up. That's the level that people's thinking it's at. This is not a bad thing or a good thing. I'm just observing it. That's where it's at. Whereas I'm saying to people, look, that's not this great. I started talking about the transaction network. I said, this is about the fact that we can scale this and use it and you become your own bank. This is very important stuff. It's immediately after just a few of those words, people glaze over. That's the challenge. It's massive. And, you look out at people, you go, is it possible to actually introduce this as a topic? I don't know. Maybe we need Hollywood on our side for 20 years. And you get all the script writing departments go, you got to embed this idea in every scene, in every bloody movie, every sort of character.
Movie coming out soon, mate. Killing Satoshi.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. And then also, just finding those little clips like the one you played the other day where it said, we can now we can now make politicians provably honest.
Mm-hmm. These are the things for you and I and others to champion. Clips. Yeah. Clips are very useful because it takes it away from us. Because people don't want to be lectured by a smart ass. No one likes it. It's just impossible. So it's very subtle what you got to think about all the time when you're talking to people and you're going, like, they're at this level and I'm at this level and I'm probably going to bump into someone who's at a higher level than me. And the difference I would suggest is that I think and I know what position we're in. So I shut up when someone's telling me stuff that's new that I know I need to hear. I don't sort of start, oh, that can't be right. You don't know what you're talking about. But that's the sort of response you get when we're talking to other people. It's a massive challenge, but I think we can meet it. It's quite an exciting one, of course, if you spin it around and view it in a sort of positive way, which I think we have to. I think we've got to view it in a positive way. We've got something, you've got me to get this. I've really got it. That we've got a tool here. And it's like I said to you a few weeks ago, all the things that I was bungling around doing 30 years ago, we didn't have the tools. It's just, I didn't know that we didn't have the tools. I just thought we'd do it anyway, Now this tool exists, and it's a matter of the communications challenge is to get it down to the next level of communication. So you've got it at the level of the tech people. You've got it at the level of the people that understand the social impact of actually having effectively a transaction system that everyone can use at microscopic cost and that can handle the volume of transactions. Those things need to be spoken about, but they don't light a candle up the backside of the bloke in the pub. They don't. He just wants. It's like you've said. Number go up. Okay, yeah, number's going to go up. So maybe what we're talking about the long term thing is that what is currently perceived as the secondary benefit, this transaction network, is actually, I think, to you and to me and others, one of the primary benefits, if not the primary. Because you go, look, this has got staying power because of the way that the guy designed it in the first place.
But
I can see
data
that.
though as well. Immutable data holding people accountable for what they do, and we can see what the truth is and who it is that's potentially spreading the lies. I would say that's the main thing. We've got a digital network where digital data can't be cracked, hacked, altered, changed, or deleted, and it's not susceptible to cybersecurity hacks or virus software for the first time ever. So we literally have an immutable digital record now. That's what I would say. So
count me in. I'm for that.
Digital record. We've now got artists who can actually claim copyright over their music. They can you can effectively cut out the middlemen.
I mean, that's another one of those. Secondary is the wrong word. Another benefit. It's the fact that we're predated upon by the middlemen is one of the major ongoing problems. We've been turned into food for a system that's designed it that way so that we remain kind of oblivious to what they're doing. And as long as you get your bread and circuses, people are okay for a while. But long term, it can't build a magnificent civilization. And I think as blokes, I think it probably applies to a good number of women as well. But as to certain blocks, you look at things like buildings. Why I'm always banging on about buildings, because they're kind of representative of the boil, the carbuncle that cities are. City life is deranged when you stand back and look at it. You've got these huge big boils, all this energy. It's just like cancer. Cancer sucks all the life out of the surrounding cells, doesn't it? Turns into a big, dead, energy-sucking blob and kills the whole thing off. And that's where these characters lie in cities. They're the builders of cities. They lurk around, metaphorically, in the alleyways, doing deals and whispering under tables, all this kind of crap that's been going on. We just want to be out in the countryside, really, under the sun, living a natural, happy life. So it's very different stories, and they have a worldview, and their worldview is we're going to be in charge, and we'll sooner blow it up than let anybody else do things that mean that we won't get our way. And I'm really interested in them not getting their way. That's a negative goal, but it's not it's one of the lights along the path. We're here to try and deny them their food, and their food is us. And it's because we're in a condition, they put us in a condition where they can eat us up. So there is a way, though, of redressing that. I absolutely think that there is.
Well, they
I've got to
know
believe it anyway.
they know what they want. And it's a bit like Traitors on BBC. That game that they make in their Traitors is an extension of actually a game that's often called around the campfire called Werewolf, where literally you've got a group of people and two of them are selected to be werewolves, and they have to nominate people to be murdered, and everybody has to effectively guess who it is that's doing it, and more often than not, the werewolves actually win because they have the knowledge of who each other are, even though the villagers outnumber them. So the point is, those who actually have a modus operandi, those who actually want to achieve something, are more likely to achieve it because they have a plan, against those people who are just simply acting as individuals and not really having a plan. So like my angle on this is, well, how about we all start coming together and get everybody using the Bitcoin network, because that's the only way we smoke these bastards out. Literally.
I'm completely for it. Absolutely. We have, like we were saying maybe the other week, I think we need to operate in little cells of 3. I keep thinking about 3. 3 really works. There's nowhere to hide, and you can work things out quick. The lines of communication are short, brief, simplifies things, and you have to get on and do stuff. And it's a matter of doing those things. I mean, I'm quite satisfied with what I'm doing, and yet every day I think, could I do more? Yeah, I just keep grinding away. I'm going, can I do anything else? Well, at the moment, no genius ideas popped up, but maybe we don't need them. I think we've got all the tools that we need. We've got to just start using them. It's like saying, well, I've got a shed there full of all that equipment. Why are you using it? Oh, I don't know. Well, you've got everything you need, actually. Oh, no, I don't think I do, because, no, you do. It becomes like an excuse. Even, I think, the information space, there's so much of it now, particularly since the COVID thing kicked in 6 years ago, right? There's been a sort of bloat in all the sort of video and YouTube channels and everything. Tons and tons and tons of it. And it's almost like a crutch to still avoid taking action against it. And I think action can be taken in so many ways. I'm not into political parties, although I support Rupert Lowe, simply because he's by far the least worst, and to such a degree that he's the only good guy out there. He's also the only one that's actually said any adult things, things for adults, right? The rest talk like children. I mean, they're just complete simpletons. And it's all emotionalism and all this, and unfortunately it's devastatingly effective on the crowd. It really is. Oh, you can't do that, it's horrible. Oh, you can't. This is about grown-up stuff. And it's whether, we have been sort of infantilized. We really have. You think about, I think about my dad. My dad was more grown up at 18 than I was at 50. It just was. I just know it. I know it from the way he operated. It didn't mean he wasn't a jolly, happy man or was stern and serious all the time. He just had a different sort of sense and bearing about things. He knew where to be serious. It took me bloody years horsing around all over the place. We've been distracted to oblivion. And I think the bread and circuses has been massive for us.
Yeah, well,
huge.
At point 3 in Rockefeller's Secret Covenant, it says here, we will always stand above their relative field of their experience, for we know the secrets of the absolute. So they've purposely gone out of their way to educate themselves and always be ahead of the game on every form of idea or market or technology. They're always in there learning. You know, like developing communication channels, developing this, developing that. I mean, they are fanatical about being at the top
I
of the
am.
game.
Are you? I'm fanatical, mate. I'm an absolute fanatic about that. I think I really am. I mean, I look at the whole of the sort of the media is the number one thing because it's where people are being conditioned 24/7. So we have to create a kind of media space in which we can reduce the amount of conditioning that they're exposed to. And it will not be mass market appeal because it can't be, because the mass market doesn't walk in this direction yet. Our job is to sort of create, I think, one of our jobs, there's a lot in there. I'm not making a list because it's too dispiriting, but is to create the pathway to get them to sort of walk in this direction and to light a fire in people. And as I said, some people are not really too bothered about playing a role in the outcome of their own life.
Find the people who are.
Yes.
What the challenge
Well,
is.
there's two of them here. There's two of them
Exactly.
here in this conversation, and there are several listening, and maybe more than several, and we keep pounding away. It's all to the best. And you sleep better at night for doing it, and so do I. And, more and more people need to be enrolled into this space, and they're going to be. That's my view. It's going to happen.
Well, yeah. Well, that's
Don't
what
ask
I'm
me when
saying.
and how.
Find like when you were saying, I spoke to these people the other day, and like all they're interested is, should I get it because I'm going to be able to make more money, as it were. But that's because they don't even know what money is. I want to make some more plastic. Well, actually, this is more valuable than plastic because you can use it. It's actually got a genuine use case. But yeah, finding those people who you think are actually looking for a solution, they're the ones who are going to listen.
Yep. Is this the fastest hour in broadcasting or what?
It might well be, mate.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. I really love my Mondays with you. They're brilliant,
so.
Gary. It's really
Me
great.
too.
Fantastic. You got to wrap up. It's your show. You got to say goodbye to everybody. You got 10 seconds.
All right, 10 seconds, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll catch you later. See you in the next one.
And we're clear.